And Kortaniemi has finally gone by, or is trying to go by Parton, and they're going to go too wide through Bravery Corner. That slows them up, but they at least get out the other side.
There's the hit, that's the trouble, and this is going to be Young Blue who somehow keeps the car going from there. That might just be save of the year.
How? You're down here with your full speed, you can't get on the brakes, and he's managed to keep that car not just out of the wall, but well away from the wall. No, I can't see this. This is blip. Whoa!
It's blind as well. That makes it even better.
You don't know where the car is. That's just amazing.
23 gets the green flag, and he's definitely going to be the first down to the first corner, but will he be the first off of it? A little bit of an approach from third place. Oh, no. Wow. Clear around the outside. Wow. Where did Money come from? He's got the lead away from everybody, and oh, they've got a big wreck behind them as a few cars get collected. Gandour, Hederman, both involved. Breaking into the start. Oh, no. Is this going to hand third to Kortaniemi? He's going to have a slight cut course penalty. Hawken is back to third. Kortaniemi is now coming up on him. They're going to go three wide. Sanchez is going to take the win on this one as Trangarade, unfortunately, a little bit slow off the corner himself. Kortaniemi around the outside. Hawken's going to have to send it in deep. Spin it! Oh, both of them going a little too hard. Sanchez is going to be the win. Hawken trying to cut back, and so is Kortaniemi. He gets the run around the outside. Kortaniemi's going to take second as Sanchez wins, and Hawken winds up in third.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Last week's Dash for Cash race in Rockingham didn't disappoint. Side-by-side racing, a green-white checker finish, and a second repeat winner of the season. The Dash for Cash takes a break for a couple weeks, but there's no better city to put your money where your mouth is. Las Vegas, the site of round number 7 of the iRacing IROC Challenge Series presented by Spartan Transportation. Hello from Sin City in the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I'm Chris Scala, joined by Chris Phoebe. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras, of course, provided by Dougie Beard. Las Vegas Motor Speedway, a 1.5 mile track that was built in 1997. But before we tell you more about the track, let's get you a lap around it with the track guide.
Welcome to Sin City and Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The sprawling motorsports complex located 20 minutes northeast of the Strip is home to some of the nicest racing facilities in the nation. Known as the Diamond in the Desert, the crown jewel of this facility is the 1.5-mile D-shaped oval constructed in 1996. In 2006, LVMS underwent massive changes, upping the banking in the corners from 12 to 20 degrees and installing progressive banking in the process. The result? One of the most competitive stock car circuits on the iRacing service. Vegas races like a mini restrictor plate track now, with stock cars and trucks alike often spread 2 and 3 wide, several rows deep, several laps into a tire run. The D-shaped front stretch allows for side-by-side racing action to continue down onto the apron as well, and both corners provide equal opportunity to set up a run on the top side or dive down under an opponent on the bottom. Starts and restarts here are especially action-packed, truly one of the most diverse ovals on the iRacing service. In 2018, NASCAR added a second Cup Series date to this track, giving the facility a pair of triple-header weekends with Cup cars, Xfinity, and trucks all competing. Well, that's our look at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's time to roll the dice. Enjoy the show.
Maybe a sneak peek of what we're going to see tonight here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway is you see the track guide there, mostly done at nighttime. Yes, the sun is starting to set here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, so likely going to see that transition into the night before this thing's over with. But Chris, let's talk a little bit about this Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As I mentioned, it was built in 1997, but give us some details about this mile-and-a-half track.
Well, it was popular for a really long time to kind of dump on mile-and-a-half racetracks, but I think right now we're reaching the golden age of the mile-and-a-half, and this track is a prime example of that. It's got a little bit of a rough surface, but it's got multiple grooves that you can race in, especially with this Xfinity Camaro that has got the tapered spacer configuration engine. You might even see a little bit of drafting come into play here, and definitely look for 2 and 3 wide racing, and these guys are going to be fast and furious here today.
Yeah, you're going to see speeds of about 190 or so into the corners of multiple degrees of banking on this track. It is definitely going to be a fun 100 laps here in just a few minutes. Let's real quickly send a shout out to the sponsors here, of course, for this IROC Challenge series. Of course, Zoe's Place, which is the mission of Zoe's Place Child Advocacy Center is to minimize trauma to child victims of sexual abuse and neglect by providing a centralized, safe, and child-friendly facility from which a multidisciplinary team, MDT, conducts investigations and intervention activities. Now, our goals are to reduce trauma, seek justice, and foster hope and healing for children and those their non-offending caregivers. Our vision is to foster hope and healing, reduce trauma, and provide nurturance for children and their families. That is Zoe's Place. Also, R&R Ice Racewear is a sponsor, your source to all your custom racewear apparel needs and homes to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at r-racewear.com. Again, r-racewear.com. Evidence-Based Mommy. If you have questions about parenting or non-toxic living, you can visit evidencebasedmommy.com, where Dr. Samantha Radford combines science and wellness to help parents and kids thrive. Lucky Finn, as we're proud to celebrate the Lucky Finn Project, who has created a nationwide support network for kids, or parents, I should say, of kids with limb differences, and provides limb difference education and awareness. You can find out more at luckyfinnproject.org. Also, shout outs to these sponsors: Loud Pedal TV, 5-Star Graphics, Sim Coaches, and of course, the Hot Dog Stand, which is open. You be sure to tune in to live airing of the Hot Dog Stand podcast Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. on the Facebook page. You can also listen to the conversation on Spotify, Google Podcast, or Anchor. Let's talk a little bit, Chris, the championship race. Of course, last week, it was the 70 car of Aaron Smith getting his second win. He's the second repeat winner of the season, but the standings right now looking kind of close. It's right now a battle between two, but obviously that could change.
That's right. This is a series that's got a pretty good amount of parity out there. So while Aaron Smith and Kevin McCann are leading the charge, I would not rule it out at all that Troy Radford and Chris Mefford could be right up there. And of course, Brian McCann, a little bit of a wild card out there on the track, but he could definitely play the role of spoiler here today and get himself right back up in that championship chase.
Yeah, Brian's had a couple of good runs here in the last couple of weeks, and he looks to continue that momentum here this evening as we go into this race. And let's talk a little bit about the stories. I kind of did some thinking about my previous history here at Las Vegas. Now, you mentioned the wear on the track. Now, Vegas IRL, we should call it, not really the track that you see tires come to play when you see the stock cars out there on the track during their events, of course, in September and in March. But some reason on iRacing, this track is a tire eater.
Yeah, you know, I almost wonder if the day they decided to scan it was a day where maybe a bunch of that desert sand was blown across the track.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's a great point to bring up. But yeah, these tires, you're going to see the cars get very tight throughout the corners, especially later on in a run. Tires will fall off, and that'll play a big issue. Part of the rules here, they got some interesting rules in this IROC Challenge Series. One of them, if you win multiple races, you lose a set of tires. There's only 3 sets of tires in each race. Aaron Smith, Kevin McCann, they've won twice. They actually only have 2 sets of tires. How does that play a factor? That's a good one there.
Yeah, especially here at Las Vegas, where it's definitely going to be a limiting factor when it gets down to pit time.
Let's talk about the race details. This is round number 7, of course, of 18, 100 laps. Stages 40% and 75%. If you do the math of 100, that is lap 40 and lap 75. Fixed setups in these cars. There's no spare car available outside of practice when you hit the reset button and go from there. But in the race, you will not have any. As I mentioned, the 4 total tire sets. You do get 3 in the pits and, of course, the 1 set on your car. Except, as I mentioned, for Kevin and for Aaron Smith, those guys will only have 2 sets of tires in the pits. 3 green-white checkers if they're needed. Hopefully they won't be, but you never know. That's just part of the race when it's all said and done. So I'm ready. We're ready to rock and roll here. Got about 2 minutes or so left here in practice before we get out here on the race. You mentioned the grooves this evening. The bottom. Obviously, turn 1, there's a tunnel that goes underneath the track here at Vegas. And that tunnel has created what some drivers say some of the bumpiest racing in turn 1 and 2 on any racing circuit. How big is those bumps right there in turn 1?
Well, if you can make it work over the bump or the bumps, I think you can do a pretty good job riding the bottom in turn 1. But it does really upset the car, and for me, it's never been my preferred way around here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the outside become the preferred lane going into turn 1. But I mean, the inside is doable pretty much the rest of the track. So it's going to be, if you can brave that, getting upset there at the bottom into 1, I think you could make up some time.
How long do you think we go here before you start really seeing that top groove come into play? Because obviously, as we mentioned, we've got progressive banking here. 18 at the bottom, 19 in the middle, and then 20 at the top. And I think before the end of the run, you're going to see cars going up to the top side.
Oh, absolutely. I think we'll see people giving it a try really early on. I mean, we can see them now through the warm-up here. They're already up there giving it a shot and seeing how things work. So I would expect before the end of the first tire run, we'll definitely have people up there giving it a go.
You know, one thing I didn't really catch either is I think about this. There's a possibility we could have 1 set of green flag pit stops tonight, and that could come in stage 1, because this is actually the longer stage of the race, is from lap 1 to lap 40 tonight. If we go green all the way with 60% fuel, you're looking at roughly 27 to 30 laps, somewhere in that range, likely where you got to make that pit stop, which is before lap 40. This is not the easiest pit road to get on.
No, it is not at all, and I myself am pretty guilty of it. The last time I made an attempt at racing here, I blew it so bad going into pit road, I basically ended my day right then and there. So it is definitely a tricky transition, and especially after having to kind of eat crow on it last time I was out here at Las Vegas, I will definitely say it's one of the more challenging ones on the circuit.
You didn't rage quit, did you?
No, let's just say that my car was not functioning after my attempt at hitting pit road.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, let's hope that don't happen tonight. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. How about this guy on the pole? Breaks the Aaron Smith streak. He had 3 straight poles, I believe it was, entering tonight. Instead, Aaron gets the outside of the front row as Troy Radford with a 30.354 second lap. He'll be on the pole. There's Brian McCann, not to get confused with the former Braves catcher. Starting inside of Brandon Medford there in row number 2. Row 3, Josh Funkhauser and Kevin McCann. Last week's, or I should say, one of 2 two-time winners. I about called him last week's winner, but he won at Talladega 2 weeks ago. Hunter Clark, Tim Schofield, row number 4. Row 5, Brian Kaufman and Mike Cook. And Chris, I'll let you take 6 through 10 here.
Yeah, our next bundle of drivers, David Brown starting 11th over Bill Walker. Then Neil Quick, lucky number 13 over Dylan Dellinger. Row number 8 is going to be David Trumbley and Cook Quick, with Brandon LeClaire and Kyle Pendergraft making up row number 9. And then completing our top 20 starters will be Mike Harper and Chris Wally in that 10th row.
I'm going to be keeping an eye on Leclerc. He's been fast, I've noticed, in both practices here. Row 11, Brian Reich and Jesse King. Chris Medford didn't run a qualifying lap. Neither did the rest of the grid here. Ray Radford, Matthew Kopp, Donnie Lyons, Dakota Clark, and Curtis Rogers in the 48 will be the 28 starters that roll off to the green flag here. So let's check out the onboard cameras here. Let's start with Mike Cook. Of course, Brian McCann. I don't think that's Brian, but also Brian Reek on board there. Of course, Brian McCann, we mentioned Brian Reek. And also, that's a pretty cool view there of Kyle Pendergraph, our 4 cameras that you see. Kyle's like, hey, Mom, I'm on camera.
You know, this series has a pretty good beard game. I'm honestly a little jealous.
I said it a couple weeks ago when I first did a broadcast here. I was like, man, the beard on... of course, I'm forgetting names all of a sudden here as I'm learning. Mike Cook is pretty fierce, I must say.
Yeah, he's got more hair on his face than our director Joe Peak has on his head.
Hey, easy on the ball jokes. There's 2 of us here. Just saying, I lack the Soup Zahn look too.
You're
anyways
follicularly challenged.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. 100 laps from Vegas green on GSRC. And right off the bat, Troy Radford getting that jump on the inside lane. Brian McCann gonna push him off into turn 1. 83 jumping topside there. Brandon Medford, of course, Schofield, Funkhauser. Got to be very careful. These cars can get a little free, and the 12 car's already in the wall, bouncing off it twice. And there we go. The 01 goes around. Schofield. 2, 3, 4, 5 cars involved. The 7, the 22, the 19, the 17. Santa Claus. Everyone's involved.
Not
and caution
Santa.
is out. Well, yeah, it's unfortunate. Easter Bunny. Whoever comes next. Us delivery people, we kind of try to avoid the whole Santa part because of deliveries. Anyways, caution out for the first time. Let's check it out on replay here. Down the back straightaway. It all started, the 12 got loose off the corner, it looked like there. And everybody just piles in.
Yeah, this was a lot of stuff happening in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, Tim Schofield, I was just talking about, you're going to get loose here on the first lap of tires because they're just not up to temp yet. Top side there. Running middle groove. Oh, he's going to catch the wall, and then from there, he's just playing bouncy. And then finally, he's going to clip a couple of cars, and around they all go. One car I feel bad for, and that is the 11 car of Brian Reek. If we can get an onboard of Brian, one of those awkward... We're watching Dillinger right now here, the Carolina driver. Maybe some front end damage. Otherwise, he got through it pretty clean.
Yeah, that's one of those you point your nose somewhere and hope for the best.
And of course, there's always that one innocent bystander you feel bad for. Here's the 11 of Reek. The wreck's going to happen way up ahead. Brian's like, okay, checking up. Oh, wait a minute. You notice there's no one around him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that was a pretty good hit into the inside wall too, so that's going to have a pretty significant impact on his day.
That's just one of those, he hits the brakes probably and had a lot of rear brake, and it just spun around on him. It's just a tough situation there, unfortunately. So, caution out for the first time here at lap number 1, back straightaway. As Troy Radford leads. Fair enough. It's never good when unfortunately you're able to talk during lap number 1 of the race, being wrecked and that kind of deal. But Reek obviously upset with the whole deal, and a tough break for him. Unfortunately, lap number 1, back straightaway, a big wreck, taking out a good portion of these drivers. As I look back at the strong parts of the field, the drivers, of course, that have won multiple races. I'm talking about Kevin McCann, Aaron Smith. They made it through the wreck, and because of how many cars it took out, Kevin McCann already 12th, Aaron Smith already 10th in this race after starting tail end Charlie. Pace car lights are off. And we'll try to do it again. Never mind, they're back on it, looks like.
You know, that is one thing, talking about your, the multiple winners that started towards the back. One thing about having another caution right after the start, you get that nice chance to move up a bunch of positions if you're a fast car starting in the back, and then you get the field bunched right back up, so you kind of get another chance to do the exact same thing again. So if you're a fast car that's starting towards the back of the field, like is the case with those two drivers, that is just a huge lucky break.
It is unlucky and unfortunate for those guys, but at the same time, the cars on the track with the tires, they got at least a half a lap on them, so maybe they'll be up to par where they can get through the corner without getting so loose. But I think at the same time, you still got to be careful. Let the tires get up to full temp. Of course, as you see, the lights are coming on. It's going to get cooler into the evening, and that's going to create obviously a little bit of a longer delta to get these tires warmed up. So going to be kind of tricky here as the lights come on in Vegas. But Troy Radford likely going to take the bottom lane here, and we'll get the green flag. Now, this is still outside the window, Chris. It makes the window smaller, but right now, 35 laps to go, or when we get the green flag, 35 laps to go before we get to the end of stage 1. We're still roughly about 5 to 10 laps, as some people, I guess, call me Larry McScallis sometimes, to fuel mileage to get to the end of stage 1.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, it narrows up the window a little bit, but I mean, we're still working in a limited window with the reduced gas that we start with, and then then obviously the tire wear is going to be a huge part in that as well. This is the longest stage of the race, like you mentioned earlier on, Chris, and these guys are going to be managing a lot here on the initial start. Or I guess this would be the restart. It feels like we didn't even get this one started.
Right? That's always the weird part. But looking at the cars behind the wall, unfortunately, due to the issues, looks like Jesse King has taken his 26 car behind the wall. The 51, Chris Wally, unfortunately, is behind the wall. David Brown looks like is behind the wall right now. Back on track, though, Medford, Trumley, and Clark, those guys are at least a lap down. As we come back to the green flag, Radford, McCann, Medford, Funkhauser, Mike Cook, your top 5 as we come back. Pace car pulls off. Slider into the pits there. Somebody's having a little fun in a pace car tonight as the green flag comes back out as we try it again from Las Vegas. Great restart there from Medford on the inside lane, or I should say Radford on Medford. A lot of Fords up front right now as McCann falls back into the 3rd position. Top 5 already single file into turn 1. You see a couple cars kind of middle lane already, but mostly everybody to the bottom. First side-by-side, 21, which is Brandon Leclerc, Hunter Clark. Those two side-by-side back at the 6th position right now.
Yeah, and you can see it does feel like everyone's taking things a little more careful this time after that stack up on the first start. I mean, obviously we still have a couple guys racing 2-3 wide throughout the field, but as far as this goes, it is pretty tame compared to what some of the starts can be like here at Las Vegas.
Well, obviously, to finish first, you got to first finish. So, I mean, these cars again out here, they're knowing they got to log laps right now. But the more important thing I'm starting to see is already cars matriculating up to the middle groove. You see Radford's already up there, middle groove, look like the top 2 already. Couple cars on the bottom, which turn 3 and 4, I actually would say the bottom line's probably the better groove. It's just turn 1 and 2 here when you get to the bumps. Look at everybody going above them except for the 5. Looks like Dillinger said, nope, I'm going to go right over him, which can be tricky because it could upset the car and obviously push it up the track and cause you to maybe lose some momentum.
Yeah, the onboard really doesn't do justice to those bumps going into turn 1. I mean, those things can be pretty severe. If you have your force feedback up a little bit too high in your wheel, it does sometimes dare to rip the wheel right out of your hand. I mean, it's almost pre-rescan Daytona bumpy when you get down there.
And that's bumpy, oh, by the way. Needless to say. Looking at, see a couple battles here on track one right now. Let's go back to the 14th, 15th, 16th positions. Curtis Roger, Matt Kopp, also Ray Radford, and Mike Harper. These guys, looks like the 4 car kind of falling back a little bit here. A line of about 6 cars as they go in through the tri-oval here. Of course, Vegas, this is the second model of this speedway. Originally built, as I mentioned, back in 97. It was originally a D-shaped oval like it is now, but it was only banked at 12 degrees. And then back in 2006, they repaved the track and put the progressive banking on it.
And I mean, it's really
the fast speeds.
It's really turned Las Vegas into such a fun track to not only watch, but to also drive on iRacing. I mean, it's a blast. I mean, you can really be fast in multiple parts of the track, and you know, you have other tracks on the service that are progressively banked, similar to this track, but very few of them can really create the type of racing that you see at Las Vegas. I'd say, you know, I've called quite a few races as a commentator, and Las Vegas has to be in my top 5 favorite races to commentate, just because the racing here is so exciting and so good.
As you ride on board the 4-car here of Mike Harper, the Michigan driver, trying to figure out what lane to go through. The 14 of Kyle Pendergraft kind of falling back a little bit as the 23 goes by of Cook Quick. And talking about this a little bit, there's Pendergraft fighting topside there. So the one thing that I guess has kind of confused me, and I'm not one that's going to sit here and question what owners of tracks do for decisions, but obviously 2006, you know, the SMI group, which owns Charlotte, Texas, Kentucky, this track, Dover, you know, decided to repave this track. And I believe it was around that same time that Charlotte was repaved. And obviously, with Homestead having the success it had, with Vegas having the success it's had, you would think that more of these mile-and-a-half tracks might go to a progressive banking instead of doing what Texas has tried to do, what Kentucky tried to do. Instead, make the banking progressive here, because I mean, you see the racing you're getting out of it. I mean, look at Iowa Speedway, another example.
Yeah, and I mean, it's costing these promoters millions and millions of dollars to come in and fix what they've done. I mean, they said they're going to put all this work into Texas. I mean, Kentucky is just sitting there now. It's a parking lot for a bunch of unusable Fords right now. So a lot of these tracks are kind of going to waste because of, you know, straying away from what worked so well at a track like Las Vegas or Homestead.
So many great battles on the track. I'm looking around here. I'm watching the battle right now. Leclerc and Quick. This is the 7th place battle right now as Quick drops to the bottom. Leclerc running that middle lane. I talked about Brandon. He was fastest in the warm-up there and also was pretty fast in practice. So I wonder if he has some short-run speed, and maybe the car is starting to fall off here in the long run of that 21 car. You see the 54 behind him. That is, of course, Hunter Clark, Donnie Lyons behind him. Donnie started pretty much tail end Charlie in this race. And then right behind them, the battle's really starting to form up. Curtis Rogers, Kevin McCann, Cook Quick, these guys all side by side. As you see Mike Cook, he looks ever so calm. Just chilling.
You can almost can't even see him in there.
You know what's weird is I'm one that, like, my light's on in the room right now I'm in. Like, during the daytime on, like, a Saturday, I can sit here and race in the dark, sorta, but I don't know what it is. Like, if I'm watching TV, turn the lights off. I'm okay with just hanging out, watching football or something, or racing on my TV in the dark. But yet, broadcasting and on a computer at night, I gotta have the lights on. Weird.
You know, yeah, I'm the same way. Any other point of the day, I'm a bit of a cave creature. But if I'm broadcasting a race, I got to have all the lights on and everything glowing in my face. It's weird.
Leclerc losing another spot as Donnie Lyons goes by in that 79 car. So Donnie having a great run. But these cars pretty much everywhere right now as we come by complete lap number 17. As I mentioned, the fuel strategy here, we're probably going to make a stop before we get to the end of stage number 1 as Troy Radford, Brian McCann pretty much neck and neck right now, about a tenth of a second or so. A couple car lengths, both of them running pretty similar grooves. You almost wonder if Radford's maybe trying to take the nose off of McCann, but Brian is doing a great job just being patient. And that's one thing I've learned about Brian is, he's got the wall there, is Brian is one of those drivers, just a couple of races I've watched, seems like he's got a lot of patience. And he's focused as always.
Yeah, he's really shown that over his time that GSRC's been broadcasting this series. He's definitely one of the top contenders, and you can see him here putting some pressure on Radford now down at the bottom of the track. And yep, exactly like you said there, Chris, slides up, and he'll now have him clear and take the lead at the line.
I think Radford might have gave that to him a little bit too. So, yep, second leader of the night, Brian McCann, looking to join his brother in that win category. Of course, Kevin with 2 wins. Troy Radford's got himself 2 wins for Troy Radford. That's one, by the way, that we've kind of overlooked a little bit on the season. Radford actually only has 2 sets of tires. So there's actually a third person in there. So Radford, Aaron Smith, Kevin McCann each have only 2 sets of tires to use. Now, Chris Medford has only won once. So he's still got 1 more win available. How weird that sounds to use before he loses a set of tires. And what they do with that, when you think about it from this side of things, it's balance of winning. Almost like, okay, it almost eliminates the possibility of winning too much in one series.
Yeah, it's weird to have when you look at NASCAR and their whole thing is circled around winning.
Sorry, I was watching McCann and I'm almost getting a wall off 4.
That was a moment.
Sorry about
that. But these guys really punish winning, and if you're going to be dominant, you're going to work for it in this series.
Which is kind of good. I like the idea because as you mentioned, we got a battle here now. The 5th position as the 2 and the 5, Quicken Dellinger. Got the 81 in front of them of Funkhounds. So these guys 4th, 5th, and 6th right here. They were side by side for a second. Looks like Dellinger maybe got a little tight off the corner. Yeah, I mean, when you look at professional sports, obviously there's so many different elements of things. You got the NFL that has the salary cap and stuff. You think of baseball with their stuff. I'll go to football since, of course, we're in that season right now. I'll go to this more as the example right now. You know how hard it is, and this is where I think people realize that how good Tom Brady really was in those Patriot days when they went to, 9 straight AFC championships, numerous Super Bowls and stuff like that, or big games, I guess we should say. When you have something that you win too much, you fall all the way down at the bottom of the draft list. So then you're supposed to not get as good of players as the teams that are picking up towards the top. And then when you think of the NFC side, it's like you got all these teams. You can't help but think, like, when's the last time a team from that side went multiple times in a row to the big game? When you think about it right now, it's not often that happens. And the reason is because the winning balances out. And that's kind of what this is like. The winning is balancing out. So you win more, you're going to lose more, so to say. As we watch Pendergraft and Harper, a couple of Midwesterners, I guess. Is Indiana Midwest? I should know that answer. I lived there for a couple years.
Yeah, I'd consider Indiana Midwest.
I mean, it's technically almost part of Tornado Central. Or Tornado Alley, or whatever it's called. 25 laps complete.
That was a pretty abrupt turn to the bottom by the 4-car.
Yeah, you see that move right there? It's like he got such a good run, he just drove it down there. But the problem is he entered shallow. You see him slide up the track and get into almost the 22 there. But down the front straightaway into turn 1 here, he's going to have to go over these bumps. Let's see, 22 going up about 3/4, about halfway. And then, of course, Pendergraft right there behind him as we come by to complete lap 26. So the window is open right now. The question's going to be, when do these cars come to pit road before the end of stage number 1 as you ride with Pendergraft? Dale Jr. gloves on, which I saw something, I believe, this weekend at Bristol. A lot of the drivers, I know Austin Hill, I think Kyle Weatherman being another I've seen on Twitter. I think they're going to wear those gloves, the junior gloves, and I think they're raising money for the Dale Jr. Foundation, if I read that correctly. So that's kind of cool to see the 14 putting the junior gloves on, the skeleton gloves, if you will. I've seen them big over here. Don't watch us while you're racing. Yes, they do. They are probably some of the coolest gloves I've seen. Looking over at his telemetry there. I'm thinking it's tires and stuff maybe over there in the bottom right corner of the screen. Looks like tires, maybe some kind of data screen there. And how about the lit up board? Do you see that up at the top, the frame? It's like the old the lit up semi. You wonder if he's an ATS player. Anyways, 27 laps complete. That's pretty cool.
I like I like his microphone too. The way he's got everything set up, it looks like when he's done racing, he's going to get ready to spit some bars.
I see pit stops happening. I saw a couple cars come to pit road, like Mike Harper. Yeah, he's got the the screen protector, we call that in broadcasting, the old screen. It keeps you from popping and things like that. Oh, he's on the hot dog stand, as I'm being told by Joe. So that explains a lot. He has his own podcast, of course, the hot dog stand. But yeah, those, when you see those kind of screens, they help. Basically, I have one actually on mine. Mine's more wrapped around the microphone, but it helps actually protect yourself from like popping letters. Well, so when you say the word pop, you notice sometimes that P will pop out or something like that. That's what that's more built for those who aren't too technology savvy.
They call it the hard P in the business.
Yes, there's a lot of business terms that we could use. Some are not maybe the cleanest to use on air, but needless to say, Mike Harper, first car to come to pit road. As we watch Aaron Smith working his way through the field here, he's up with the 5 car. You see Pendergraph working on the 22 as Donnie Lyons comes to pit road in the 79 car. This is at lap number 30. I kind of like where these guys are pitting right now, because the longer these other guys wait, they're going to have less time to make their moves with fresher tires here. Curtis Rogers going to pit road. I think you're going to see the 2 on pit road here in a second. Neil Quick gets it down there to the apron. Every time I see a pit stop at Vegas, I can't help but think of 2002 when Sterling Marlin got turned sideways coming into his pit in the pit road, and somehow he got away with a speeding penalty, and I believe a caution came out, and he ended up winning that race.
We got was our leader Brian McCann hitting pit road here, Chris?
Yep, McCann is in. Should be 4 tires and fuel for the 3 car. We watch his pit time there. Misses pit, so he had to back up a shade. That's going to hurt him just a little bit here. Radford now on pit road, Neil Quick, and actually fuel only, which I've learned happens a lot in this series. They will fuel only here and then come back for tires at the end of stage 1, tires at the end of stage 2, and then if there's a late caution, use the 3rd set of tires. So very familiar move I've learned in this series is fuel only a lot for these cars, and that was a great catch by our producer, Joe. Appreciate Mr. Peak helping us out here. Is doing a great job as a producer, as always.
Wasn't he also one of the drivers that has the limited tire sets also? So
Brian is not. That's Kevin.
Oh,
his brother.
We got too many families in this series.
Right? McCann's everywhere. Everybody, as of right now, is Cook, Funkhauser, and Pendergraph are on pit road. Dellinger on pit road. And as I look at pit times right now, the only drivers that maybe have taken tires, I'm seeing Chris Medford maybe, Cook Quick, and Donnie Lyons maybe. Looks like the only 3 or 4, maybe Dellinger and Rogers. So maybe 5 cars out of the 20 on the lead lap right now apparently have taken tires. As you see, Aaron Smith, he's up to the 6th position right now, but our current leader is actually Ray Radford. Ray actually pitted at lap 2, so he and Matt Kopp, who's on pit road right now, those guys have actually a couple of extra laps here to run. And I think they're trying to bank one of those yellow handkerchiefs getting on the track. As Tim Schofield comes in, Matt Kopp, so Radford now the only car that is not pitted. That was tight. And Radford's going to be coming in now, and it looks like that'll turn us over to Brian McCann, who somehow, even though he went sliding through his pit stall, going to end up still the leader. Now, and that's another factor we should bring up too here, Chris, is McCann slid through his stall. He didn't take tires, so he's probably not feeling the best handling in that car right now.
Yeah, in addition to being 35 lap old tires, they may also be flat spotted from sliding through his pit stall. So what that does is really makes the car ugly to handle. I mean, you have that flat spot on the tire, and it really just upsets the way that the car drives. You may even feel a vibration. It's it's no fun with flat spotted tires.
How about this? I just caught this. Aaron Smith up to the 3rd position right now here as we come to the end of stage 1. We actually missed this. He actually pitted at lap 19. He pitted way early in this run. He spent 3 less seconds of pit time on pit road than the leaders, McCann and Radford, and only a 5.4 second stop. So he's been able to jump other cars with their pit stops. And look how close he is now. He is within a second of the lead of this race. Remember, he started at the back. Well, they're all on older tires at this moment for the guys up front. So, so I mean, for him to be able to make this move, everybody outside of Donnie Lyons right now, the first on fresh tires and 7th. I mean, this is one heck of a pit stop for him.
Yeah, he really rocked it on pit road, and I mean, obviously Aaron's been fast all season long, but he is right up there with the top 2, and yeah, he could be right here in the mix here very shortly.
I think Dylan Dellinger has had some issues. I see some damage on the 5 car, and I'm seeing on my telemetry, it looks like he had some issues a second ago. I'm not sure if he crashed or something. Now, Vegas is one of those tracks that is very, I guess, conservative, for lack of a word to come up with off to the top of my head when it comes to accidents and cautions. If you slide off the apron or onto the apron at Vegas, there will not be a caution, where some tracks may be a little more aggressive like that. So you wonder if he maybe had some issues on the back straightaway there. But Dellinger's taking his car behind the wall. Let's see what happened to the 5. As we'll get that replay here for you here just a second. But, unfortunately, we'll keep looking. But McCann obviously leading this race, and as we stay green with 2 laps to go here in the stage. But as I mentioned, I've seen it so many times, and this is one of those tracks, no matter what series you run, if you're out there, Chris, and you spin, like on the back straightaway here where you see the leaders running, most of the time you'll get away with no cautions, and people will get angry about it. It's like, where's the caution at? We just had this at the last track, but not here. But like I said, there's just something about this track and the way it's built that the cautions, you just don't see as much. As we see the battle for second, though, right in front of us, and, well, there's a caution. As I believe that's the end of stage 1. Brian McCann going to get it. Stage 1 to the 3 car. As Aaron Smith got to the back of Radford, not able to get it, but stage 1 complete here from Las Vegas.
For a second there, I forgot about the stage. I thought you just hit us with the commentator's curse there. And
it happens.
Willed the caution into existence.
Is that technically a commentator's curse, though, if the caution comes out knowing it's coming and you talk about it?
Well, yeah, I forgot that we had a stage break coming up. I was so into the race.
Well, no, my point, though, is if we're racing and there's a wreck with a car you're talking about, hey, he's having a great run. Okay, commentator's curse. But knowing that there is a caution at lap 40, like, for instance, we know the caution's coming at 75. If I come back at 73 and say, oh, yeah, we've been caution-free this stage, does that count as the curse?
Maybe this is a way to defeat the curse.
I'm just playing reverse psychology here. I mean,
I might burn some sage here on the stage.
Look out now.
just to be safe.
Got some cars staying out. Donnie Lyons is going to stay out here as McCann brings the leaders down pit road. Curtis Rogers, he's going to sing the blues and stay out also. Radford, Aaron Smith, McCann, all these guys. Here's where you'll see the tires likely be taken, and maybe that's the reason why Lyons and Rogers are staying out here, because they know they can get to the end of stage 2 likely on fuel. So save that set of tires now and use it from the last run. Race off pit road. McCann going to hold off Radford and Aaron Smith off of pit road. So we're going to step away for a quick second, and we'll come back. Get you stage number 2 here of this IROC Challenge Series as you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Stage 1 in the books. Brian McCann getting the victory in that stage. Now, while we were in break, should mention the Donnie Lyons, Curtis Rogers cars. They came to pit road, and it caused a nice little discussion amongst us up here in the booth. We actually turned it into a paper ball fight when it was over with. Thankfully, Paper was not hurt in the whole thing. But we're getting ready to come to the green flag with Brian McCann leading, Troy Radford second, Aaron Smith, Brandon Medford, and Neil Quick going to be the top 5. And as we go to lap 75 here for the end of this stage, and we thought about this a little bit, there is still likely another pit stop coming here in this stage. 31 laps, obviously, to go in this stage when we get this green flag. So it's going to be very close, but I expect to see the leaders and these guys going hard here and probably hitting somewhere maybe lap 15 or 16 or so in the run would be my guess.
I would say those numbers check out.
I mean, that's the halfway point. You would think common-wise, but you know what? You could see some guys in the back maybe stay out longer and try to play track position. As Barney the flag man, apparently his name is, waves the green flag fiercely, going to get some carpal tunnel, but we're green with McCann, Radford, Smith, Quick, and Medford leading them to the green. Good restart for McCann there.
You know, iRacing must have pretty good health insurance. The way that guy waves the flag, he has to have been on like at least 3 rotator cuff surgeries by now.
Saw somebody get the wall, it looked like they're off of turn 2. It was the black and green car back there. I think that might be Hunter Clark. As he gets loose off turn 4, these cars dancing a little bit. Yeah, I see a little bit of damage on that 54 car. I also see some damage on the rear of that 21 car. Wonder where that came from. So a couple cars with damage, but yeah, you would think that the right arm of the flagman would be like muscle. Oh, trouble! The 4's into the... Everybody's scattering, and now the 79 into the 48, the 22, and again, back straightaway, big wreck. Schofield, Kopp, Harper involved, it looks like.
Well, for a second there, I really thought we were going to get away with that one.
2 cars involved in this one. Donnie Lyons, Curtis Rogers. One of the things we just discussed is trying to avoid the wreck potentially by going to the back. Unfortunately, the wreck didn't avoid them. You see them both coming into the wreck right there as they try to avoid. Lyons gets sideways and then right there kind of finished off with contact with the 81 and the 47. And unfortunately, carnage. Calamity Corner, turn 3 tonight.
Yeah, it's really looking that way. I mean, turn 3 has been the hotbed of pretty much every incident or near incident we've had.
It looks like once again, though, that wreck started coming onto the back straightaway. So you wonder if these cars are obviously getting tight off of turn 1 and 2, modified off turn 1 and 2, and basically because of that, obviously you're trying to fight the car down the straightaway, you're trying to keep it up against the wall without hitting other cars, get you out of shape, and causes all types of issues. But because of that, Kevin McCann coming back to pit road, Schofield, Harper. I think other than McCann, everybody else is coming to pit road to get damage fixed. Yep, McCann topping off the tank. So he's going to try to play, and I think this is a good move on his part. Play the fuel game now. Go to the end of the stage.
Yeah, especially with the amount of cars that are probably not going to be continuing on after that incident, or at least it'll be easy pickings to get back by. I probably hurts nothing right now to top off the fuel and be able to have that little bit of extra in the tank.
Yeah, I'm seeing
strategy play.
I'm seeing right now 12 cars, 13 cars left on track with probably less than that having damage on the track right now. That was out of 28 starters, so less than 50% of the field, and we're just getting to the halfway point of this race. So attrition has definitely played a role. I'm going to have to look outside my house here and see if there's a full moon tonight. But unfortunately, caution for the 3rd time here this evening. I kind of like what Kevin's doing. What do you think, Chris, here? Because you're pitting with 20, you're right at the number, 27 laps to go. I assume Kevin's probably coming back here at 1 to go. I think that's the move right now you got to take.
I think it gives you a lot more leverage later on in the race. I mean, especially, it's going to save you time on pit road the next time that you pit because you're going to need to put less gas in it, and gets you track position on that pit stop. And the more you kind of save up in the tank there, the more leverage you're going to have when you get to the end of the race. You hit the green-white checker, all that stuff. It's going to be a little less nerve-wracking trying to make a decision on what to do strategy-wise.
And I'm looking up here at the leaders right now, and I'm trying to see, like, most of the time you can tell when they're kind of saving fuel here. I don't really see that. Maybe Aaron Smith a little bit. I just saw that for the first time out of the 70 car. If you watch the 70, you can kind of see him back off and kind of come back forward and then back off. Those are the guys that are saving fuel. So you wonder if any of these leaders maybe are trying to just go without having to pit. That's not the easiest thing to do, but if you're one that's good at pushing the clutch in, shutting the engine off, and if you're good at doing that, you're going to be okay. But it's not the easiest thing to do with a keyboard and a steering wheel and all that stuff on a computer at home. If you've ever tried to save fuel on iRacing in a stock car, it's not like pushing the clutch in, flipping a switch in the car and all that stuff. You got to, likely it's the I button for the ignition, S for starter, and you got to push the clutch in and do all that stuff. And it's caught me out a couple times almost.
See, I try to use those shortcuts and stuff, and then somehow I just end up printing a picture. Really not sure how that happens, but yeah, I've kind of given up hope on managing the shortcuts like that.
It's not easy, because especially if you're in a vehicle and it's like you get to a point where you're trying not to get passed by other vehicles, because some leagues actually have rules that you got to stay at speed. And sometimes you'll get in a mode where you try to restart and all of a sudden it's like, why is the car not cranking up? You hit S too many times and then it's like you can't tell if you're starting the car up or shutting it off, or it can get quite messy really quickly. And some call that an Ambrose. If you go back to that Cup race where Marcus Ambrose threw away a win at Sonoma, they call that pulling an Ambrose.
Yeah, that still hurts to think about.
At least he got his win at Watkins Glen.
But he
I think it'd be a lot worse if he did not win. All right, coming back to green with McCann, Aaron Smith, outside lane, starting second, Radford Quick and Brandon Medford. As we come to the green, not many cars without damage out there. A couple modifieds, as I mentioned. As we get back to the green flag here, good restart for McCann. You got to think, the less amount of cars now out here, obviously the chances for a caution you would think go down.
Theoretically, yes.
Right. I would say logically, but there's sometimes I wonder if logic is even a good word to use anymore in life.
Yeah, you can't, especially in the world of racing, you can't apply logic to an illogical situation.
Oh, illogical. I'd never heard that. I don't think I've heard that word. I like it, though. The top three kind of spreading out a little bit. Brandon Medford up there in the fourth position at red, and I think that's red, orange-ish. Number 83 is Neil Quick, who I think is passed the most cars tonight. It seems like he's passing somebody every time we look at him. He's looking inside here, the 83. Here comes that 21 to Leclerc. Leclerc missing a tail end piece, I believe, on there. Nope, he still got his tail end piece. Never mind. I was about to bring up the Jeff Gordon story I always bring up anytime somebody's missing a tail piece. If you ever watched the 1997 All-Star race, the old Jurassic Park car is the reason why you must have a tail piece on your car in every Cup race now. You can't have it off.
Well, here in Michigan, we have what's called the Outlaw Super Late model. And a lot of those drivers, they had to put in a rule where they had to have that rear panel on there. Because when it wasn't in the rule book, they'd all take it off and go figure. You lose that low pressure area, and all of a sudden the downforce goes up. Or is it down? More downforce.
It could. It might be upforce. Yeah, that's a good question. Well, think about it. I saw this actually a couple days ago. If you ever go down the highway and you get a truck that has like a bag that blows out the back of it, And notice when the bag gets behind the tailgate, it starts squirming around like it's in a funnel or something. And it's like, how is this happening? It's because the air is coming up from underneath the truck and it's causing turbulence behind the car. So think about it when you don't have a tailpiece there. All the air is pushing down on the car now. It's not affecting it.
Science, man. It's wild.
Yeah, I'm blinded by it. Anyways, Aaron Smith, Troy Radford, as we ride on board the leader. Looking back at Aaron, trying to pick up that third win of the season, trying to go back-to-back. Watch Brian, trying to see what the shirt says. You know what? You know what the second line is? Praise Dale. That would make sense. I still think the tuxedo shirt from 2 weeks ago is the best.
Oh man, I can't believe I missed the tuxedo.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet looking. As Medford looks underneath Aaron Smith, or Radford, I'm sorry, underneath Aaron Smith for second now as this draft of about 6 or 7 cars fight it out. We put another lap on the board, 56 complete, 19 to go in stage 2. Again, fuel mileage is the word of the night right now. Who can get to the end of stage 2? Did these guys save enough? We know that the 33 of Kevin McCann, who's worked his way up to 13th after the restart, he's probably good to go. The rest of these guys, not so sure. And of course, these cars, you don't have a lot of off-throttle time, especially on a track like Vegas here. I mean, you're off the throttle right there, and then you're pretty much right back to it about right there. You know, you mentioned the tapered spacer. That is kind of an overrated or an underrated term for these cars. A lot of people don't realize, yeah, these cars are kind of hampered when it comes to horsepower in them. As you see, Radford trying to get around Smith again. Riding on board Neil Quick, Midwest driver. All the different lanes these cars are running. You see Radford right to the bottom. You see the bumps.
Yeah, those bumps still no fun even when you get later into those.
Not to mention if you got the force feedback and stuff in your hands. I can only imagine. I'm one that actually races without force feedback. Yes, call me crazy. But it's probably part of my issue too. But anyways, just imagine the bumps. You know, obviously you're fighting a car and then you feel those in your hands. It's just gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's not fun. I mean, I wasn't exaggerating earlier when it can really feel like it's going to rip the wheel out of your hand. I remember one of the first times I raced here, totally had no idea about how bad the bumps were, and just had, I mean, a light grip for racing purposes on the wheel, and next thing I know, like, it totally caught me off guard, and I threw my hands up. I was so surprised. Which by the way, not great to do in the middle of a turn.
No, you don't want to do that. No. Now, one thing I will mention, as I think about it, they released the new schedule, of course, for next season. Chicago Street Circuit officially on there. So imagine these cars and the Cup cars, if the bumps are bad in turn 1, imagine how they're going to be on an actual street in Chicago.
Well, I do remember reading somewhere that I thought they were resurfacing some of those roads.
They're going to have to do some work on that, because that's almost a must if they're doing it that way. I mean, because I'm visioning right now, just hypothetically in my head, putting these kind of cars on, say, Long Beach, a track we know how bumpy Long Beach is. We know how bumpy St. Pete is. We know how, you know, those kind of tracks with those kind of bumps, these cars can't handle that. So you kind of hope that they do work on a project and make that happen, or else that could be interesting, especially with the rack and pinion steering that the Cup cars have now.
Yeah, so that would be a challenge for sure.
So you got the battle up here at the front, pretty much all separated first through 7th, we'll say, by 2.6 seconds. And then it's back to Cook Quick and Hunter Clark and Funkhauser. These guys battling it out now for the 7th, 8th, and 9th positions there. The 54 of Hunter Clark was in that wreck just a little bit ago, and he's kept it going. And then the 23 car of Cook Quick there, he's just kind of hanging on. So you wonder if these guys back here could be saving a little bit of fuel.
You know, one thing I'm really wondering is, do you think Cook Quick likes to use the microwave?
Wow. He's been around me. You've been around me too long already, and I've only known you for an hour and a half.
Oh
Ish.
no, trust me, this is all me, buddy.
I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to have to talk to Joe about putting us together, I think, a lot more.
I don't know if Joe can tolerate it, if we're being totally honest.
Joe's asking us if we've heard of his humor. Now, Joe, remember, I've done road race. You and I, a few weeks ago, did a majors, a 6 hour, or what, like an eighth of the 24-hour race they had. We not do jokes then? The $1 million question I have, in all seriousness, though, do they have a cousin named Real? Just a thought.
That is, gosh, that's beautiful.
Thank you. Joe says a sister named Barry. Now it makes sense. Barry Quick. Yes, that's well done, Joe Peak.
Yeah, that was
Joe's-
subtle. I heard
Joe's
it.
at
And I'm sitting here just thinking, wait, what?
Joe's at the peak of his jokes right now. Anyways, yeah, Aaron Smith still here in second. We're gonna talk about the race so that we don't lose the viewers we have here. Yeah. Hunter Clark, I'm still watching, let's see, side by side back here, the 81 of Funkhauser and Quick. Those guys fighting still 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's like guys fighting back here, and then you see the lead battle going on. Aaron Smith trying to make some moves here on McCann as we got about 8 laps to go in the end of stage 2. Again, the $1 million question, can these guys make it? I've not really heard anything in chat of anyone saying, hey, I'm short or whatever here. I would think that these guys, with the battle they have in the points right now, you would not be risking this.
Well, I mean, the one thing about stage racing is when you know you have a caution coming, I mean, you can play the strategy to that. And if they've been doing enough fuel management here during the bulk of this run, I mean, you know it's not that far away. Maybe it's worth the risk.
Yeah, here's a feature that has actually caught me in multiple races like this, because I've run in some series that have like 60 to 65% fuel, and you have to save fuel to get to the end of the stage. You need to bank 1 lap before the stage. And the reason why I say that is when the caution comes out, you got to catch the pace car. That's going to take another lap of fuel out of your car. So that's something here that you cannot overlook. If you're right now sitting at like 0.6 of a lap to the good, you've got to find a way to bank more fuel so that when the pace car comes out, you got to catch up all the way back around the track to it, which is a lap and then another pretty much lap to get back to pit road.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. You know, I'd never really thought about that.
Oh, it's bit me plenty of times. And I mean, of course, you could lift and coast a little bit, but even then, it's like, then you're going to get that one driver, because you know there's one in every league that's going to be like, dude, catch the pace car, let's go, what's taking so long? Of course, I've got plenty of ways to reply to that, but you know.
Yeah, probably most of them not fit for air.
I got so many in my head right now. Anyways, 5 laps to go now. As you see, the field kind of spreading out up here at the front. We look back here. This is Schofield and Lyons, 2 of the cars involved in that accident. Unfortunately, both of them have those Jurassic Park-looking cars. The tail end's missing. But thankfully, the iRacing settings there don't have, like, added horsepower to something like that. You see Kevin McCann right in front of them right now. Kevin is in the 11th position. He's about 4.5 seconds or so back. I'm reading the numbers here right. Nope, I'm sorry. He's about 14 seconds back. So Kevin definitely probably saving fuel here to get to the end of this run. And again, remember the less tires that Kevin has on that car. He will not have he only has 1 set of tires basically to get him to lap number 100, which is coming up in less than 30 laps.
Yeah, I definitely say, sounds like he might be saving a little bit of fuel there, like you said.
Which, if he's saving fuel, and he came in at 1 to go and topped off, I believe. I know at least he came in under that caution.
But just think how much time that's going to save him when everybody else that's been racing all out has to top off.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
in reality, it's, you know, fractions of a second, but when it comes to pit stops and track position, I mean, those fractions of a second could really be the difference between restarting 10th and restarting 5th.
We got 3 laps there, 2 laps to go now this time by another factor. Let's add in another thing. See, I always try to catch things when I'm racing and stuff, and one thing I've noticed from the, 10 years of iRacing I've done now, is another added factor that I kind of gets, I don't want to say overlooked by iRacing, because they do a tremendous job with all the features and the things they add and stuff like that. But especially in stock car racing, when you're catching the pace car, there's times where you have a lap car between you. In racing, there's a point on the track where actually you can do what they call pull up to pit. And that is something on iRacing you can't do. You have to stay behind the car on the track coming to pit road. So if you have a lap car in between you, it puts you at a disadvantage to get up to the next car in front of you position-wise, where normally if you watch a race on Sunday, you'll see cars kind of pull up past the lap cars at a certain point coming to pit road, and they're neck and neck on pit road. As they come off of turn 4, McCann going to sweep the stages. It takes stage number 2 here from Vegas. So the question, yeah, they can make it on fuel. Great job on all their parts. As Brian McCann wins stage number 2, they'll get ready to come to pit road for that set of tires. I'm actually really shocked that these guys made it.
He looks absolutely thrilled to have won that stage.
Hey, he's focused. I mean, he's got a race hell, praise Dale shirt. He's driving the number 3. He's got to stay calm and collected.
Fair enough. When you got the ghost of old Dale Earnhardt riding with you, you got to take it serious.
All right, so this is the important stage here. So now Kevin McCann and also Aaron Smith, those guys will automatically start it back with 1 set of tires left, which I'm assuming they're going to use right now. I would almost consider not using them and save them for maybe a run later in this race or something. I mean, it's a risk, but what do you do here? Do you go ahead and just put yourself tireless the rest of the way for 24 laps or so? It's never a thought I've never really thought about in this kind of situation.
And not to mention the possibility of those 3 green-white checker finishes as well.
Oh, yeah, those things. That's a whole nother factor.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors to this race.
It makes it interesting in this series. As we watch the race on pit road, I think McCann's going to get it. Radford was close there. But McCann going to win the race on pit road, and we're going to get ourselves reset for stage number 3 coming up with less than 25 laps to go as you're watching the IROC Challenge Series here on the Global SimRacing Channel.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
2 stages in the books from Rock Vegas or Las Vegas or Sin City. How many different titles they have here in the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Less than 25 laps to go here on GSRC. Chris Scala joined by, I'm trying to get the name right, Fabi, right? Chris Fabi.
Phoebe.
Phoebe. Fabi.
Pretty close,
I apologize, Chris. I apologize.
You didn't do too bad there.
I'm working on it. Joe Peak, of course, is always our director. Dougie Beard with the cameras as we get ready to go racing here under the lights. Getting to that point where the gambling might come into play. Mike Cook took the wave around there as we got 1 to go, so he is back on the lead lap after blinking out, unfortunately, earlier. Hopefully he put his hard hat on, or his tinfoil hat, as they like to say, and is ready to rock and roll for this last stage. Pace car is going to hang a left here. And Brian McCann, who's been the dominator here so far tonight, leads him to the green. Troy Radford's been right there on his bumper the whole entire time. Neil Quick, Brandon Medford, and Brandon Leclerc, your top 5. Great restart there from the 3. Neil Quick, also a great restart as we go to turn 1. Got to be very careful here. Remember, we've had 2 cautions come off of lap 1 restarts here. Everybody so far so good down the back straightaway. The Nellis straightaway, named after the Air Force Base, which is right outside the track here. Battle for second. Radford diving back to the bottom on the front straightaway here. Little side draft here. Medford looking for some room himself. Radford almost maybe have to lift a little bit there as you ride with Medford. Fuel not a factor anymore. This is now straight up racing to the finish.
You can tell they're all using the bottom of the track here, which I find a little interesting. I mean, I guess they could still be trying to get the tires warmed up a bit, but I really thought we'd see that those guys up in the top 3 pushing the envelope a little bit more at this point.
Well, I did see, and I'm seeing it again right here. Look at the run that Quick is getting here to the back. He's right up on the tailgate now. The 3 years you ride with Medford. Neil's ready to make that move here potentially. And you see the difference right there. McCann drove it deep into turn 3, and then Quick is going to be able to carry the speed off of turn 4 here with the draft. And that is one of the cool things about these 1.5 mile tracks and these B cars or Xfinity cars, if you want to call them that. Watch out, McCann launches it into the corner. And then Quick just kind of brings him right back in. I think McCann's going to need to think about moving into the middle groove here. And look at this. Quick with the run off the top side of turn 1 and 2 to the bottom of 3 and 4. Brian's got to play a little defense here. I'm expecting Brian to go middle here. Let's see. Yep, sure does. Takes the air off that nose of the 2. And Mike Cook on pit road. I heard him say he had to pit or something. I wonder if he was light on fuel maybe from stage 2. This is probably a scheduled pit stop for the 00. He was maybe hoping for that early caution or something.
Well, it did happen twice already.
There goes. Lift, yep. He's taking 4 tires and fuel. So, Cook, there's your gambler right there. Unfortunately, Snake Eyes. We got, as I look at it right now, 15 cars on the lead lap. A lot of them, unfortunately, with damage from those 2 big wrecks we've had, but the excitement continues here. Top 3 all separated by about 2/10. Medford there with Leclerc and Pendergraft up to the 6th position right now. Got to be careful. Don't burn the right front off this car because obviously as you get in this battle here, you're now racing for the win. Very, very easy to do at this track. And you look at Neil here. He is all over the back bumper of McCann. Looking again. Side draft down to the corner.
They are so close right now.
Oh, almost some contact there. Got tight. Yikes. You mentioned the demeanor of McCann. That is impressive right there.
Yeah, just straight focus, did not even flinch.
You see his wheel at down the straightaway sitting at about 1 o'clock or so. Of course, with the steering ratio and the steering offset in this car, I did notice the base steering in the setup here is at about 1 o'clock.
That just makes it turn easier, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on how you like it. I mean, one thing I've caught just now is his hands are actually at the 9 and 3 position, which is mostly where you see drivers racing at that position traditionally. As you see Quick get the run down into turn 3 again, he is getting the 3 car off turn 1 every single time, 1 and 2, and this time though he gets a good 3 and 4. Going to stay side by side here. Medford wishing he was just a little bit closer. I'm sorry, Radford. I keep calling him Medford. Sorry, Troy.
Well, and that's the thing too with these 2 cars up front battling this close together. They're going to affect the drive of both, and that can allow the 94 to get up there. And you can see now he is right there in the mix just as much, all over the 2 car now as the 2 was on the 3 a couple laps ago.
Yeah, you see Neil had to kind of get out of the gas there in turn 3 as Brian went down there and took the air from his nose here. We expect Neil probably go middle groove again here. Both of them go middle, and look at Troy go top side here. He might actually get himself a little run off turn 2 here. Expect Neil maybe to go top side here. Nope, he goes right back to the bottom. And it's one of the things you just got to try every move you potentially can here at this moment, as we have 11 laps to go this time by. So becoming a 3-car race. I'm watching Medford back there. Last time by, a 30 and a 31 from the leaders, a 40 for Radford. So these guys easily are the fastest cars on the track. I should mention Aaron Smith, 31.30 last time by. He is back in the 6th position, so he is actually one of the faster cars on the track right now in the 6th spot, 2.2 seconds back. So let's not give up on this 70 car yet here, as he's going to make the pass for 5th right now on Brandon Leclerc. So if these 3 or 4 play around a little bit more, Aaron Smith ran a 50 there making a pass, so he did lose 7 100ths, but he's still right there within 2.1 seconds.
And that's really the risk you run battling at this point in the race. There's still a lot of time left, and there's still some contenders that could reel you in. And when you get battling like that, you really open the door for that. So if you're Neil Quick right now, or Troy Radford, you kind of have to pick your battles a little bit. And if you're going to go for it, you got to make sure it's going to stick and be able to go fast. Because otherwise, you could allow someone like an Aaron Smith to really creep in. And Aaron Smith has absolutely no qualms about playing spoiler in this one.
Oh, absolutely, especially being a driver maybe looking for his 3rd win of the season. How about this? I'm looking at the lap times over here on my telemetry. Every single one of them ran between a 51 and a 54 last lap. And this time by a 61 for McCann, 66 for Quick. Was that a 62 for Radford and a 57 for Aaron Smith? So Aaron Smith, the 10th and a half faster that time by than the leaders. Problem is, he's going to need to gain more of that within 7 laps. He's got to gain like a half second a lap almost to even have a shot to get to him. He's getting up to 4th, though. He's catching Medford. We got 6 to go.
Yeah, the biggest issue Smith might have to deal with at this point is having enough time to get up there.
I don't know if he's having. He's going to need a little help from something similar to the color of his car. Notice I didn't say it.
Yeah, we don't want to throw that out into the universe.
No, not at all, because then I'll have people throwing mail at me. We don't need that. Virtual mail. As we have 5 laps to go here, as McCann has pulled away to about 0.3 of a second here. He started moving up to that middle groove as you watch Smith on the screen. Top side on Medford. He's not giving up. High, wide, and handsome. The old Harry Gant line. Now today known as the Larson line, I guess. McCann catching lap traffic at a bad time here. Is the inside of the 22. That's going to give a little bit of a run to quick. 4 laps to go.
And losing the momentum here can be so detrimental. It takes you so long to recover.
Smith down to 1.9 seconds. So yeah, he needs a little help if he's going to get there. Ryan McCann, who has pretty much led all the race tonight. I mean, I'm trying to think. The only laps Brian McCann really hasn't led, if I want to think back correctly, is during the cautions.
Yeah, he's been pretty dominant up at the front of the field today. Not to say it's been easy for him. He's definitely had to put some work in today, but it's been a pretty strong performance for Brian McCann.
Absolutely, as he comes through turn 3 and 4, as he keeps that distance right there at the 2. Problem is, for the 2, you could think, okay, maybe he needs to try something different. When you have a car behind you, that kind of limits that. But you know what? Neil just gained a little bit of time there through 3 and 4. Neil actually tried the bottom side that time by.
Well, his opportunities to strike are really getting thin. So if he's going to make a move, he's going to have to do something here very fast.
As they come off of turn number 4, they will see the white flag. Final lap this time from Las Vegas. 1.5 miles to go. Through 1 and 2, McCann holding his distance there. As McCann through 3 and 4 for the final time. And Brian McCann's going to dominate Las Vegas and score his first win of the season in the IROC Challenge Series. You wonder if McCann's still calm and focused.
Well, I know I believe it was our second or third race of the year. Brian and Kevin got together on the last lap at I believe it was Auto Club Speedway, and we saw a little bit of Brian's humor there in the post race interview. So he can crack a smile every now and then.
I'm counting this correctly. It looks like that Brian is the 5th different winner of the season here. He works on the brake bias there. Is going to hang a right. He's even focused on the burnout. All right, we're going to step away and we're going to talk to the top 3 and go through the results of the race here at Las Vegas as you're watching the IROC Challenge Series on the Global SimRacing Channel.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Back at the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where Brian McCann has got his first win of the season, the 5th winner of the season, and the second McCann of the two to go to victory lane. Not that the second is least here, as McCann joins his brother in victory lane. As we look at the results from the race this evening, Neil Quick ends up second. Troy Radford, great run from the pole, finishes in the 3rd position. Aaron Smith all the way back up the 4th. Brandon Medford finishing 5th with Chris there in 6th. Brandon Leclerc 7th. Kyle Pendergraft in the 8th position. Hunter Clark finishing 9th. And Josh Funkhauser, a pretty consistent run there for the 81 in the 10th position.
Well, Donnie Lyons had a pretty solid run. Settles for 11th there at the end over Kevin McCann. Cook Quick, not too bad to come home 13th over Tim Schofield. Matthew Kopp, Mike Cook, Mike Harper, Dakota Clark, David Tremblay, and Chris Wally all laps down at the conclusion of this one.
Yeah, pretty much anybody outside the top 10 and even a couple cars in the top 10 were involved in accidents here this evening. Jesse King, Ray Radford, Curtis Rogers, Dylan Dellinger, Bill Walker, Brian Reek, unfortunately involved in a lap 1 accident. Brian Kaufman, David Brown, the 28 drivers. I see McCann is stopped here on the front straightaway before he goes down to the Neon Garage, that little diamond area down there, as Brian joins us now here in the booth, or at least down on the track. We're in the booth up here. But Brian, the track tonight, what a fun race. Of course, the track was hot. You were hot, and it seemed like you hit blackjack tonight, my man, going to victory lane here tonight.
Yeah, I put a little bit of practice in on this one. I'm typically pretty good at these 1.5 miles, so really paid attention to how to save the tire, and I think it paid off.
And also something that paid off there towards the end, Neil Quick seemed to be getting some really good runs on the short run there to you. And it looked like once you moved your car off the bottom to the middle groove, it seemed like it kind of stalled him out and woke your car up a little bit.
Yeah, I was playing with him a little bit. I was forcing him to go to the bottom there a few times, and I knew that the high side was preferred. And I mean, that's his only option, to go to the bottom. Right. But, that was wearing his tires out more, and I was saving my tires on the top side. So really, when that was happening, just hurting him. But he put on a good race. We had some close racing there a few times, and I'm glad we didn't hit, because I wasn't really sure if my plan that I just described would work, and ended up working, but I wasn't too sure. So I was really giving it all she had when Neil was trying to pass me there.
Well, it definitely worked out for you. The viewers aren't going to see this, but I just happened to notice this looking over at our Discord page here. I noticed your photo tonight, and I don't know if there's any irony to this, is 2 aces, 1 black, 1 red. Any connection there to the gambling and to the aces at Vegas or something like that?
I just like playing cards. That's the reason I got that there.
Nice. Well, I like the Dale shirt there. I believe that is you're wearing.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Doing it for Dale.
In the 3 car. Great job. Congratulations on getting that first victory of the season. Shout out to whoever you like to.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the league admins, Wally, Kyle. They put a lot of work into this. All of our sponsors. We couldn't do this without our sponsors. You guys for doing the broadcast. I'd like to thank my wife, my family, everybody watching tonight. It's great to have these spectators, and yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, my man. It's Brian McCann, victory tonight, first of the season, and I don't think it's his last one, as he continues to have great runs here throughout the season here in the IROC series. But we're going to send it over to Chris, who's got Neil Quick, who finished second tonight.
Well, Neil, great run tonight. You had a couple sniffs at the front. Anything you could have done differently to make it happen?
No, I think the top 3 or 4 of us that we were just so darn even. We just had to wait for somebody to make a mistake, and I could tell kind of what Brian was doing there at the end. I really wasn't going to get where I wanted there in the middle or to the top, so I tried to make an inside move work, kind of like I got on Troy in the restart, and just couldn't pull it off, couldn't clear him, and couldn't make it happen. It was good racing there, though.
No thoughts of busting out the old chrome horn today?
No, I'd like racing with these guys, and I know that chrome horn comes back to you just as much as you give it to someone.
Well, Neil, after a great run today, there's got to be a whole slew of people you want to thank.
Yeah, absolutely. The sponsors that helped me race, of course, WR1 Sim Chassis, 5-Star Graphics, R&O Racewear, Spartan Logistics, all the guys that sponsor the league to make it happen and put the work in. Chris, Kyle, Brian, all those guys, and you guys for doing a great broadcast every week.
Well, we appreciate that. And that was Neil Quick, our runner-up finisher here tonight. Back to you, Chris.
And, of course, Neil finishing in the second position. Unfortunately, trying to catch Troy, but he's maybe getting a quick shower or something there. It's pretty humid in Vegas, as always. So maybe a quick shower or something for him. If we catch him, we'll get him on the air here. But real quickly, Chris, as we wrap up here from Las Vegas, a great race tonight. Obviously started in the twilight into the nighttime. We had some early cautions, especially on the restarts there after stages. But Vegas producing great racing as always.
Yeah, this track very rarely disappoints, and today was no different. It was a great race, and congratulations to Brian McCann finally hitting victory lane after a lot of good runs he's had this year.
Yeah, finally he's probably happy we don't have to say anything about his brother winning in the series. So congratulations to him on going to victory lane this evening. And Chris, it was a pleasure working with you tonight, and hopefully we'll get to do it again soon.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again sometime.
Absolutely. And of course, a big thanks to our sponsors tonight that you'll see on the screen here, starting, of course, with Zoe's Place, the Child Advocacy Center, R&R Racewear, Evidence-Based Mommy, Lucky Finn, Loud Pedal TV, 5-Star Graphics, Sim Coaches, and of course the Hot Dog Stand, which is a podcast that you can catch on Spotify and others. And of course, a big thanks to our team tonight, Chris and Joe and Dougie. And make sure you check out all the social media, the website, merchandise store. Of course, it's listed right there on the screen. And always remember, this is the main important part. Subscribe to that YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss any moments here on GSRC. Of course, our next race broadcast here for the IROC series is a week from Wednesday. We get next Wednesday off. The 29th, we'll be back at, I'll call it IRP, since there's another track now on iRacing called Lucas Oil Raceway. So the Indianapolis Raceway Parks version of Lucas Oil Raceway. And the next broadcast, you'll see the Grand Prix Legends. They will be racing coming up here on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. That is a fun series to watch, especially get up, have a cup of coffee, and watch cars turn left and right. Nothing wrong with that. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.